Good people, good people, good people. Welcome back to the Gumtown Podcast, episode 157. I'm Doug B. If you tuned in to this podcast, thank you for your time and your attention. I really appreciate you giving it a shot. Today's guest is the founder and owner of D'Vine Cultivation. I'm looking forward to this conversation. I'm sure we'll all be inspired by her story. Let's chop it up with Jalisa Clark. Jalisa, how's it going?
Hey, how is it going, sir? All is well.
Glad to hear that, and all is well on my end too. First things first, thank you for taking time out of your schedule to chop it up with me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for the invite. Thank you
Yes.
so much. I do appreciate it, sir.
Yes, ma'am. Of course, here to talk about all the great things you're doing with Divine Cultivation. But before we talk business, let's get to know the woman behind the brand. Born and raised in Mobile, what was your upbringing like?
My upbringing was pretty cool. I am a woman that has a lot of aspirations in life, so I kind of always knew I wanted to have my own. I was raised by a single mother, so my mom was always my inspiration. I've seen her grind. I've seen her raise two kids. She's always instilled in me to follow my dreams. And once I left Mobile, that's what I set my sights to do.
Yes, ma'am. Sounds good. So, and hats off to the mom. Salute the mom for raising you and holding down the household by herself, holding things down. And like you said, she was the inspiration to you. You didn't have to look anywhere outside your home for inspiration. You had it right there under your own roof.
Hmm.
Man, powerful stuff. So you grow up in Mobile and you make your way down 65, up
Hmm.
up 65 north to attend the Alabama State University, graduate from the Alabama State University. What was the HBCU experience like for you?
Well, I am a marching hornet as well. So, of course, that band life was some serious, but I enjoyed it. I enjoyed my craft class. I enjoyed being a flag girl. Yeah, like it was different from being a flag girl in high school and college, but hats off to Toya Mason because she got on our nerves. But when I say we love that woman because she instilled so much discipline in us, she gave us structure. She helped us grow as women individually. She was a good role model just to have. So like I see the impact she had on all of us. So real. But for the most part, I enjoyed my college experience. Of course, crabbing the band ain't fun, but I pushed through. The price of glory is high.
Yes, ma'am.
Right.
Hey, hey,
you know?
trust. Yes, ma'am. Hey, I have much respect for the mighty marching Hornets. I seen well as much I can see just from my own eyes. Those white T-shirts and those fatigues in the summer. All I can do is say, hey, they're going through it right now, but they'll get through it some way somehow.
And I tell you, I still got my crab shirts. I still wear them to this day. I have an A shirt on right now. I still represent because, baby, I'm
Mm.
with True Blood Sweat and Tears. Like for real. That
Yes, ma'am.
experience was cool. I enjoyed it.
Yes, ma'am, absolutely. And even hearing you talk about, just wearing that shirt, like, and you know what, it should always be a reminder whenever life starts to get tough, that shirt should always remind you that you can do tough stuff and you've been through tough things and you made it through.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. So outside of being in a mighty marching Hornet, the best band in the land, just overall, what was college life for you just from a social aspect, just the people that you got a chance to meet while you was at the Alabama State?
Well, I will say band took a majority of my time, but after a few years, I did do a Christian sorority, TPS, Theta Phi Sigma. I was a part of that organization for a brief period of time, and of course, being around social gatherings, I did go to the parties. I only went to the Rose one time. I snuck out and went to the Rose one time. I was crabbing. The year I was crabbing was the last year, so I didn't get to experience the Rose life like everybody else, but I did experience it one good time and I enjoyed myself when I did go. But I wasn't a big partier, but I did attend band parties and I attended a few Q Dog events. But outside of that, I wasn't always on the scene. I had my crab class, I had the people I was associated myself with, and I took my butt to a class.
Okay, sounds good. Sounds like you were a woman on a mission. You came to the Alabama State University first and foremost, graduate, which you did that, and just sounds like you stayed out the way and did what you had to do.
Yeah, most definitely.
Yes, ma'am. Powerful stuff. So you go on to graduate from the Alabama State University. So, upon graduating, did you go right into the entrepreneurship journey, or did you work a nine to
So,
five?
so in me still attending college, I did have a few jobs. My first job here in Montgomery was me working at Victoria's Secret. So that was my first job. I got to the point of becoming a manager temporarily before I left there. I've worked at Ross. I also used to work at BB King. So I was a server and hostess at BB King. So that was fun. That's actually funny story. I mentioned that that's actually where I got my name Soulful Spirit from. So, like I said, I was serving the hostess, but I love to dance. So I was always on the dance floor. Like even when I was serving the customers, I would serve them dancing with a smile with their food. And the guests, I was like, ma'am, you have such a soulful spirit. And I was just, it kind of just stuck.
No, that's great. That's great. And just based on those jobs that you had, Ross, BB King, it just sounds like what you're doing now. You've always been a people's person, so it makes sense how you transition into being a cosmetologist.
Yeah, and speaking of that, so I of course I had my degree. My degree was in recreational therapy, and I had a job in my field. So I was working at the nursing home and working at BB King's. But before I started working at the nursing home in my actual field, I went to Trenton, and that's where I got my hair license. But I was doing all at one time. So I was doing hair, I was working at BB King's, I was and working at the nursing home that I was at. So when I let the nursing home job go, I started working at a hotel as a night auditor. So I was still night auditing at night, BB King's in the daytime, and whenever days I had, because that's me, we're always working. So whenever I had free time, I try to squeeze a client in or two. But it was no days off. I was always grinding.
Ain't nothing wrong with that. Hey, nobody.
Yeah.
Hey, you are definitely speaking my language. You got to go out there and get it because no one's coming to save us. You got to go get it.
Yeah. So yeah, I was on it, sir. I was on it.
Yes, ma'am. That's amazing stuff. Just hearing you finish up, get your degree, you working in your field, you go on to Trenum. So let me ask you this, Lisa. So when did you first discover this gift of cosmetology?
So I actually started doing my own hair in the fifth grade. So my
Hmm.
mom is actually a cosmetologist, but her doing hair when when you get off, she didn't want to necessarily always because she was doing hair all day. So what she would do was she would give me some like the individual braids, but she would give me individual braids. And you know how parents like to have the little beads on their child heads, but she would put the little brown wooden shells on there, and I knew that wasn't hot.
Right.
I didn't like it. So I started doing my own hair. So I was like, you know what? I'm sit here and play in my head. So I started doing my own hair. She used to help me out. I used to still let her press my hair. We all know about the burning of the forehead and the ears. So yes, we all experienced that as kids. But yeah, I started doing my own hair. Plaits, braids. I got into doing my own individual braids at one point. Then of course my sister had her daughter, my niece. So as my niece got older, my niece was my little baby doll. I had a human baby doll since my sister didn't do hair. So yeah, I just kept on. Once I started doing her hair, just eventually started doing my god sister's hair and then my friend's hair, and it just kind of just stuck. And I fell in love with it. But my mom didn't want me to go straight to hair school. She wanted me to, you know how parents are. They want you to get a degree first.
Right.
So that's why I ended up going to Alabama State because my mom wanted me to get a degree first. And of course, I listened. And yeah,
Okay, sounds good. So mom was a cosmetologist, so that cosmetology is just in the bloodline. It sounds like that's
it
all right.
is. It is.
Okay, good stuff. So present day, you are the owner, operator of Divine Cultivation. What inspired that name, Jalisa?
So, okay. So, of course, I'm a loctician. I'm a natural hairstylist and I specialize in locks. So, cultivation, like cultivating the divine crown. That's what initially where it came from. That's always been my slogan. When you think about your lock, you think about the tree. If you notice my logo, it's the tree of life. When you look at locks, you can visualize an actual tree. We have our roots, we have our stems, that's what a lock is, basically. it looks like a tree, your branches. So once your roots are weak, they will eventually break. The same thing with locks. I am someone that specializes in the healthy hair, the healthy maintenance of locks. I specialize in healthy locks. So my job as a loctician is to promote healthy locks. I do retwist. That's what people pay me to do. I let everyone know retwisting is not required. It's preferred. That's why when people see locks and people don't have their hair retwisted, when they say that dirty, ugly phase, side note, I don't believe in ugly phase. Some people do, but I feel like if your locks are beautiful, healthy, and growing, it's not ugly. We all have stages in whatever we do in life. When you're loose natural, your hair gets old. Same thing with starter locks. The style is going to get old. When you don't like that frizzy look, that just means at that point you feel like you need your hair done. But locks are retwisting locks is not required. It's preferred to of course that clean cut Europeanized look for everybody to look like they're grown basically to fit in certain standards. And of course we all want to look presentable, so that's what that is. As long as I keep your roots strong and healthy, your locks healthy, cleanse your scalp, take care of your scalp. That's what I enjoy doing. I retwist because people pay me to do it.
Hmm. Yes,
But my
ma'am.
passion is growing the locks, make sure they stay healthy, make sure, I keep that moisture in, make sure I educate so you can know how to maintain your locks.
Yes, ma'am. And I hear that passion in your voice, being a
Oh, thank you,
master
sir. Thank
optician.
you.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. You just gave me a whole education, a master class on locks, and I appreciate that. Like that was amazing.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. So, like I said, you being the owner, founder, operator, and you're operating in business in Montgomery. So, what kind of vibe can one expect when they come into the shop?
So I'm going to give you words from my clients because that's what matters, how my clients feel. So I've heard it's a very therapeutic environment. It's very peaceful, it's very relaxing, it's fun, good energy. I'm someone that loves music, so be mindful that you may see me singing and dancing. I do have clients that fall asleep in my chair while they're getting their hair done, especially when I recline them back. I don't use the standardized salon chair. I use a barber chair. So at a certain point of me getting into your head, I'm going to recline you back so you're good and comfortable getting your hair retwisted. So I do have clients that also fall asleep in my chair.
Hmm.
So
That's what
yes,
I'm talking about. You got that safe haven, that therapeutic
yes.
vibe. Clients come in there and they just relax. Like that's what it's all about. Like it's important to, especially doing the type of business that you do, it's definitely important to have that vibe. And it just sounds like you said, like your clients, they just feel at home, feel safe. That's what it's
hmm
about.
Yes. And I will say at one point I was trying to hire a shampoo assistant, but they told me no because they love
Hmm.
my shampoo. So I'm not allowed to hire a shampoo.
Hmm. Okay. Hey, you gotta listen to what the clients tell you now.
They was like, you can pay her, but just know I'm not using her. I was like, it ain't nobody.
Uh, that's all right right there. Well, you know what? That just tells me that you're doing good work and feel people are confident in your work and you're just doing great things, Lisa. I appreciate you for sharing that.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Whenever I have entrepreneurs on the platform like yourself, I like to talk about three things: the aha moment, action, and audacity. Take us back to your aha moment when you first had the idea to take your love for cosmetology and turn it into a business.
Um, well, I would say that one was from childhood. When okay, so I did a particular style on my god sister. I did a sew in, and I saw how I laid it. Like it was that one time, when you learning something new. It was that one time, like I perfected her sew in. I had the layers right. I curled it right, and when you start flipping it, I had her slayed for her prom. I said, yeah, I'm doing this because I did makeup too. I did makeup at one point too. Like I don't consider myself a makeup artist anymore, but I used to love doing makeup. So I had did her hair and her makeup for her prom. And when she came out in her prom dress, I was in awe. Like I did that. So yeah, that's when I knew like this is something else that I just really need to do. Like I know I'm in school, but I really want to follow this passion of mine.
Okay, so you prom, so you
Mhm.
had your goddaughter. In your words, you slayed her. You
I
had on
had her
point.
right. Like, yes, I had her right.
For sure. That's all right. So just from that, moment
Oh,
when
I'm
you real
sorry, my god sister, not my
God
god. I
sister.
do have a goddaughter,
My
but yes,
apologies.
my
I misspoke.
yeah, my god sister.
Yes, that's on me. My apologies. I misspoke. Your God
You
sister.
good?
Yes, ma'am. So you got the God sister, got her on point for prom, and you realize this is something that you wanted to take serious and do something with. So from that moment, let's talk about the action. How long did it take you to come up with a name and actually get started in business for yourself?
Well, I will say my first name was Soulful Queen Beauty, and that was my first location. I have another location now. Well, I closed that location and opened up a new one. So my original name was Soulful Queen Beauty. That was inspired because, of course, at this point, that's when people was calling me Soulful or Soulful Queen. Well, a lot of people trying to call me the Dread Queen. I didn't like that name, so I was like, just call me Soulful Queen. So that's where that name came from, and it just grew from there. But when I was thinking about branding myself, and at this point I'm an entrepreneur, I have my business, and at this point I'm thinking about trademark. I have my trademark. So I was looking like Soulful Queen Beauty is me. Even though it's me, I want my brand that's going to grow and I'm going to pass down to have an actual official name. Because say if I have a son and my son want to take over my business, because I'm gonna have more than just this salon. I'm manifesting that. I'm gonna have other things going on as well. So I don't want my son under the umbrella of Soulful Queen Beauty. That's where I was coming from. So I was thinking like, okay, cool. So I sat back and I just started just reevaluating what my business meant to me, and that's how I birthed the name Divine Cultivation.
Okay. Just forward thinking, just thinking about branding, thinking about your kids, future kids, legacy. That's all right right there.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So it just pretty much just sounds like you had the idea and just in terms of the action portion, it was just one of those things where it sounds like you didn't spend a whole lot of time overthinking and you pretty much had
Hmm.
some things already in motion. So you was already kind of already in that space. So it was really nothing to get divine cultivation off the ground. That's what it sounds like.
Yeah. You know how entrepreneurs are when we get to that phase in life when you block off everything and you in grind mode and you sacrifice so much. Like at that point in time, I was just in grind mode. I wasn't focused on nothing but my business. So yeah, I took the time to figure out exactly what I wanted to do and grow that thing.
Yes, ma'am. Absolutely. So that last portion, audacity, it's one thing to have an idea, put action behind it, but to put it out to the world to be praised or criticized, that's where the audacity comes in my opinion. Who or what gave you that courage, that audacity to put divine cultivation out to the world?
In all honesty, I never even considered myself like, you know how people say local celebrity or that person that everybody know.
Right.
I was just somebody, I just did what I love to do. Like really, like I just did what I love to do. It took me a while to, because you know how people like, oh my God, I know you, or hey, you soulful, right? It took me a very long time to even get a, I can't even say I had the audacity. I just kind of transitioned into it because like, oh, you need to take this thing seriously. Because even though I knew at this point, I wasn't thinking of like, okay, I'm growing a business. I'm thinking of, I'm just doing what I love to do. So I can't say like the actual audacity. Probably what 2 years ago. Like yeah, I'm out the for real deal. Push it when I said I was gonna do my trademark. Yes, 2 years ago. That's when I said I had the audacity. Cause at that point, like Jalisa, you about to take off. You gonna birth this business that you've been growing, and God has been working. God has moving, and you see the vision. You made it plain. You've been praying, you've been meditating, you've been fasting, you've been putting in the work. Let's go ahead and push this thing forward. So that was in 2022. That's when I can say I had the audacity. And I think I started like I think I probably got my business license in like 2018, 17, 18,
Okay.
19. Yeah. So yeah. So I would say the audacity in 2022.
Yes, ma'am. Sounds good. Sounds like you gave yourself the audacity to step out there and you were saying some powerful stuff. You were praying and manifesting. But the most important thing you said in all of that, Jaleesa, you were doing the work because it means nothing to pray if you're not going to do the work. So salute
Most
to you.
definitely. Most definitely.
Yes, ma'am. So You've done great things in the entrepreneurial space. You've done great things. You continue, and I'm sure you're going to continue to do great things with Divine Cultivation, which leads to my next portion, vision. What are some of your short-term and long-term goals for the business you feel comfortable sharing?
Okay, thank you for saying that. Was like, wait now, because I don't want to share too much. But what I feel comfortable sharing, I would say short term goal would be to get one more stylist in my salon. Right now, I have two individuals. Well, let me start over. So I have a young lady that does sister locks and micro locks. I also have another young lady that also does sister locks and micro locks, but she also does braids and as well like scalp braids, individual braids, crocheting, and I also have a cosmetologist. So I I'm manifesting one more person in my salon, and I think I've already manifested that one more person. But everything is not solidified to paper; it's not contract is signed. But that should be signed shortly. So I feel like I've manifested that short term goal. My long term goal would be to the products that I've already released now to sit down and go ahead and finish up my marketing strategy to push it like I want to. I've already released my own lock gel. I've already released my own head wraps. I do head wraps as well. So I'm going to be adding on to certain things, but of course, my long term goal is to push that product line forward and other things as well.
Okay, sounds good. Those are great goals, both short-term and long-term, and I have no doubt you'll make them all come to fruition.
Yes, sir.
Yes, ma'am. As we wrap up the podcast, Jalisa, I want to ask a $1 million question. I started this podcast to highlight the greatness connected to the city of Montgomery. Whether you were born here or lived here for a significant period of your life, be it college, military, or work, you living in Montgomery, coming here to attend and graduate the Alabama State University, as well as Trenton, operating in business present day in Montgomery. I want to ask you, Jalisa, what do you appreciate the most about the city?
I would say just giving me the space to grow my business, giving me the foundation to grow my business. Like here in Montgomery, I've gotten to know so many dope individuals, so many dope entrepreneurs, and like working with different people and uplifting and encouraging and pushing. And that's one thing I will say, like my circle is like 90% entrepreneurs. And when I say we push each other, I'm grateful for that. Like the ladies and men that I've associated with and worked with and growing with. Like just us to push each other for greatness. I I I, I really appreciate Montgomery for allowing me that space of birthing individuals that's from here and that's also been living here for X amount of years as well.
Yes, man, powerful stuff, powerful stuff. So how can people connect with you, Lisa? What are your social media handles and website?
So, okay, I have a few. So my TikTok, my Instagram, and my business Facebook name is Soulful Queen Beauty. My salon pages is on Instagram and Facebook. It's Divine Cultivation, but I changed the spelling of Divine. It's D as in dog, V as in Victor, INE Cultivation. And my personal Facebook is Soulful Spirit Loctician.
Yes, ma'am. And of course, I'll put all of that information in the description of the episode. Hey, Jalisa, thanks again for the conversation. I really appreciate you.
I appreciate you too, but thank you so much for inviting me and so much for having me. And I will say what you're doing is amazing in the city of Montgomery. Just to give the entrepreneurs a platform just to speak about ourselves and our upbringing and our businesses. I say thank you so much and keep growing. I pray that you keep growing in your business as well and God continue to manifest and bless you and keep you prosperous as well, sir. Thank you so much for this platform.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Good people, that concludes another dope episode of the Gumptown Podcast. In the meantime, in between time, y'all know what to do. Be blessed, be safe, but most importantly, have the audacity to be you. Go on.